Welcome back to UNX Fast Forward, your daily dose of everything ninja. I'm Chris DeGangi.
And I'm Ethan Swanson, and we are coming off of our second qualifier for the second major event at Austin Ninjas, the South region, and we have 6 athletes that just punched their ticket to the major event.
Yeah, and so the competition down in Texas was stacked. We had 17 American Ninja Warrior veterans like we talked about, and some young guns and some rookies who came out and performed.
Right, and on the men's side, taking first place, Dave Kavanaugh, followed by Nathan Haney in second, and Christian Eust in third.
And on the women's side, Isabella Wakeham, Olivia Colasano, and then Ashley McConville in third place.
Right, I mean, it was such a tough course. It was a 4:15 time limit. We had no finishers, and nobody got even close. Dave was the closest, and he burned out on the second to last obstacle. Nobody even touched the last obstacle.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest course that we've seen here on UNX, the only course besides our major semis without any finishers.
Brutal.
Brutal.
It was heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of it just came down to technique, and there were some really tricky obstacles, and 2 of which we're going to talk about today.
Right, in our Ninja Killers. The first one is the retirement home, a balance obstacle, so tricky. I mean, for so many different reasons, but we look at the stats, and 59% fail rate on this obstacle from athletes that got there.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
That is killer.
Yeah, I mean, that's so tough. And then I think, you know, a quarter of the athletes only made it past the retirement home.
Right, so a quarter of the field is left after 4 obstacles in this course.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, putting the course together, when you design it and you test it, I don't think in testing it seemed as hard as it turned out to be.
Yeah, and it's so tough. You know, you never know when you're doing the course design, you're setting the stuff up. If you're off a little bit on difficulty, you have a bloodbath, which we did.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew coming into this that, you know, James McGrath, Nick Forney, they would put a really hard, challenging course together, but man,
you just didn't know how hard.
They delivered on that.
If we want to crush some souls, we know where to go. But no, it was so difficult for so many different reasons. It's early in the course. I think, you know, that kind of obstacle, your nerves amplify the difficulty. I like to call it Elvis-like, when your legs just can't stop shaking when you're on an obstacle. And I think when you're on the barrel, as you're trying to go over these bumps, if you're even a little bit shaky, it's 10 times harder.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some different strategies trying to go around the bumps. That ate up some time. And I think, you know, we talked about it, but the more time you're spending on this very slow balance obstacle, your internal clock, you're starting to panic and you're starting to think, like, I have to move. This is taking so long.
Which we heard from Dave. He doesn't have an internal clock, so maybe that played to his advantage.
Yeah, I mean, just crazy.
But, you know, that brings us to our next Ninja Killer. Right after that, the reverse dunk, a crazy jump, 180 catch with a cane, and then the really tricky part, you had to dismount with the cane in hand onto that platform.
Yeah, and I think the dismount was one of the trickier parts of this course, was having to make the dismount onto a tiny landing platform while taking the cane with you, while doing it reverse, so you're 180.
Yep.
So much going on there.
And we just talked about retirement home, 59% fail rate. Reverse dunk, 50% fail rate. So just like chopping them down right after one after another.
Yeah, I mean, so difficult. We only saw a handful of athletes actually get past it.
Only 6 athletes cleared this obstacle. Obstacle number 5, and 2 of them overshot the dismount, so they technically cleared it, but then failed the next. So only 4 athletes actually got to attempt the 6th obstacle, which was the hook swing.
Yeah, not a forgiving obstacle at all.
so rough, but that just speaks to the difficulty of this course. Like we talked about, this was by far the hardest, most difficult course, and like you can't just look at the results and go, maybe we didn't have the top athletes. We talked about 17 American Ninja Warriors and some amazing youth competitors. It was brutal out there.
Yeah, there was no shortage of athletes. I think this came down to just the technique involved and just how tricky and your nerves getting to you, and just there was a lot going on here, and it turned out to be brutal.
Right, and you know, with this level of course, you really had to come out big, and we're going to show some of those moments here in our big time moments.
Big time moments. Number 1, Kai Ackel.
Kai, you know, he was the first athlete to clear retirement home, and you got to think about, is there going through the mental side of nobody's cleared this yet, and he broke through.
Yeah, Kai, huge performance to break through, be the first one. It's always a huge moment to be the first one to break through something, especially an obstacle that just destroyed the rest of the competition.
Yeah, and then he technically cleared the next obstacle, but overshot the platform, so got a clear on reverse dunk, but then failed the hook swing. And I mean, it's so impressive to go in that spot. Nobody's done it yet, and to get that.
Yeah, just tough.
Right, and somebody who actually beat the hook swing, Ryan Meeks, but didn't make it look easy.
He did not make it look easy. It looked tough. His hand was a little bit low on the cane, kind of slid down. He had to reach back up, didn't make the next move. A lot happening there.
I don't know how he saved it, honestly. When you start sliding down on that cane in a swing, there's so much force, and he just clamped down and saved it, completed the obstacle, and then timed out on the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good run, but I think it was like a second of like one second difference of getting to the platform. I mean, it was really close on the next obstacle.
Our next big time moment, Christian Used, who ended up podiuming and making his way to the major on slide or die, got crooked and sideways and somehow saved it, got to the rope and finished that obstacle, which if he hadn't, he wouldn't have been podiuming.
No, yeah, that was the difference of him making it to the major, was correcting that slide and, kept his feet up, got to the platform. A huge save there.
And we know that obstacle is so difficult. We saw Thomas Stillings fall on it, and Stillings is very sure-footed. I mean, parkour athlete. He's really good. So being able to save that one like Christian did, unreal.
Yeah, big time moment.
Big time. Next up, we have Nathan Haney, who had an amazing run, broke through, one of the earlier runners, broke through so far in the course and held on to second place.
Yeah, held on to second place throughout. Huge performance from a 16-year-old competitor, one of the younger competitors out there. And like you said, being the first to break through and get to the back half of the course, amazing.
Specifically on the reverse dunk, he was the first to clear that and give himself an opportunity to continue on through the course, and he honestly made it look easy, the dismount.
He did make the dismount look easy. I mean, he moved at a really good pace, got himself all the way to the salmon ladder, and I thought it was a really nice run from him.
And then we have to talk about Anton Fomenko from Russia, breaking beta, and when he was on the retirement home, getting to the end, the dismount, taking out a lot of athletes, and he turned it sideways to make it so that they wouldn't roll away from him.
Well, he turned it sideways, and then he locked it into the pad next to him, which was, part of the rules. Like, you can do that. A really, really smart move from Anton.
Yeah. And it paid off, and he got through that obstacle.
Paid
Easier
off
than
huge.
a lot of competitors.
Yeah, he made it look really good.
Right, and then looking at Jody Avila's humongous save on reverse dunk, looking for that dismount and getting caught up and getting pulled back onto the obstacle with one hand, re-grabbing, taking some time to get composure, and then dismounting.
Yeah, he was fully extended, had his feet on the platform, hands still on the cane.
Which nobody else could do that.
Somehow made the jump back, caught the cane again, and then was able to fix it. I mean, that was one of the better saves of the day.
Yeah, I mean, with this type of course, you had to make saves like that if you wanted to continue on, because there's so many different weird technical obstacles, and Jody breaking deep into the course, taking fourth place.
Yeah, fourth place, not too bad.
Yep, and now we're going to look at our biggest time moments, our UNX top 4, starting off with Jamie Ron on retirement home.
Jamie Ron, the first person to go for this move, so impressive to have the confidence, to have the body awareness, and honestly, he made it look easy.
He did, but I mean, that speaks to Jamie's, how sure-footed he is, how good of a parkour athlete. His footwork is impeccable, and, he got momentum, like the strategy to get momentum and then hit the end and then jump, just the strategy to think of it and then to execute it. Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. And without having seen anybody else do it, be the first person to try that.
Right. I think he set the bar there, and I think it opened up the door for a lot of athletes to get that move.
Well, we saw Christian do it. We saw Dave do it, and so really awesome there. But then speaking of Dave, our other UNX top 4 moment with Dave Kavanaugh. Yeah, baby.
King of the walk-on line.
The king.
King of the course at Austin Ninjas. He got so much further than everyone else. It wasn't even close comparing him to the other competitors, and he got the closest to finishing the course.
Yeah, Dave's so close to finishing the course, and just a really impressive run overall, getting to the back half, the only competitor to get to that obstacle. Really impressed.
Right, and making his way to the second major event. Also, another athlete making their way to second major, Isabella Wakeham, the only woman to clear the retirement home and get a shot at reverse dunk.
Yeah, I mean, a huge moment there, being not only taking first place, but being the only woman athlete to make it through that obstacle.
Right, especially you got to think about the mental side, going there knowing nobody else on the women's division has done this yet, and still executing, still doing it. That says a lot.
Yeah, and being the first, woman to break through, and the only woman, which we've seen in past UNX performances, that, being the first woman, like Kylie Hughes, to catch that UFO, that gives you a lot of confidence.
And now we're going to take a look at our, if it can be unseated, our top moment from last week right now.
Wobble off of that.
She's done it! Get there, girl, get there! And rise up, young gun! Rise up!
Awesome. Let's go down to Marley. Who's
And we'll see if any of our moments, our big time moments, UNX top 4 from Austin Ninjas can unseat our champion from the last week.
Well, it's going to be tough. Make sure you guys go to Instagram, unx.now, to vote on the top 4 moments to see which one will return next week to take on 3 more big top 4 moments.
Right, and now we want to take some time to look at our obstacle highlight, one of the coolest, most exciting obstacles out there, reverse dunk. So let's check it out.
Such an amazing obstacle. There's so much going on there. I mean,
It's so much fun to watch. I mean, the 180, you gotta hook that thing on there. Big falls, big moments, big saves. It was really cool to see that one.
yeah, so much technique involved. But tomorrow, we're going to be in the studio with Dave Kavanaugh. He's
The
going to
king.
be joining us. My king.
Yeah, it was everybody. I mean, he had the best performance, first place, making his way to the major, and we're going to see what his thoughts are on the course and his run. We're going to be hearing from him tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So make sure you guys check us out on unxnow.com. And until then, I'm Chris DeGangi.
And I'm Ethan Swanson. We will see you guys next time.